How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge 5000, and we're going to forecast the amount of snowstorms you should see in the United States this year. So first, let's take a look at the current snow cover map for the entirety of the Northern Hemisphere. And as you can see, from most of Canada is currently covered with snow, and we have some portions of the Rocky Mountain ranges having some snow cover right now. And compared to average, we're seeing a little bit more snow further southward than normal. Taking a look at the current departure from average, we do see there is a slight positive area right around the border of the United States and Canada. And what this means is that we're more likely going to see a colder winter, since the snow cover is a lot further southward a lot earlier, which means that the pattern is definitely more encouraging for the cooler air to move further southward. If the snow is this far south like we're seeing right now. And plus, when there's more snow cover on the ground, it absorbs a lot of the short-wave radiation from the sun, and snow heats up a lot slower than the surface. So we'd see temperatures overall be much colder than average throughout the United States when we see a little bit more snow cover than normal. And as of right now, for the month of October and even extending into this week, we've been mostly above average when it comes to snow cover, which makes me believe that we're going to be in for a colder and snowier than average winter. So of course, the frequency of snowstorms should certainly rise this winter, especially compared to prior winters. However, most likely only certain areas will experience much more snowstorms this year, while other areas in the United States will experience less snowstorms. And taking a look at the snowfall anomaly map during El Nino years, comparing it to the long-term average, we clearly see there's much more snowstorms than normal right around the Rocky Mountain ranges as well, and extending into the southeast as well. You typically experience more snow than usual. This includes areas of the Northeast as well, while areas such as the Northern Midwest and the Pacific Northwest experience less snowfall accumulation than usual, which of course means that the frequency of snowstorms is a lot less during El Nino winter. So this is definitely something we're taking into consideration as well when making this snowstorm forecast, because of course if you experience more snowfall than usual during an El Nino pattern, you should expect more snowstorms. And based on the average amount of snowstorms you experience in any given winter on each area, I adjusted it based on the current conditions we're seeing, such as an El Nino, to where it's more in line of what you'd see during conditions like this, such as an El Nino or a positive Pacific North American oscillation, which I'm about to show you in a second. So we're definitely going to take this into consideration when making this forecast when it comes to the amount of snowstorms you should expect. But we're going to also take a look at other factors to give a better representation of the amount of snowstorms you should expect. So like I've been pointing out in my previous winter season forecast videos, a big pattern that will determine whether you experience colder or snowier conditions or warmer and drier conditions is the Pacific North American oscillation. And during a positive phase, we typically see conditions colder and snowier than average right around the East Coast, while conditions are warmer and drier than average around the West Coast. And as you could clearly see, the index is showing that we're more likely going to be in a positive phase for the majority of the winter. Of course, the forecast could change because this is a long-term forecast, forecasting the pattern months beyond. So there's still this index is still subject to change, but I'll still lean to the idea that more likely than not, we're gonna lean to more towards a positive P and A pattern this winter, which will play a big role in the type of conditions you should expect this winter, as well as the amount of snowstorms you should expect along the East Coast during a positive North American oscillation. You should expect more snowstorms this winter, while along the western half, especially more specifically in the Pacific Northwest, where an El Nino pattern typically brings drier conditions, you should expect less snowstorms. So this is what happens during a positive Pacific North American oscillation. Colder temperatures thanks to lower air pressures right around the eastern half, and warmer temperatures right around the western half. So there should be more snowstorms along the eastern half and less snowstorms along the western half. And of course, since we're likely going to experience anywhere between a moderate to strong El Nino, it's good to take a look at prior strong to moderate El Ninos to see how this year will stack up when it comes to temperatures as well as snowfall. And taking a look at temperature anomalies for El Nino winters are at least strong to moderate El Nino winters compared to the long-term average between 1991 and 2020, we see a clear indication that especially the East Coast experiences cooler than average temperatures, and same goes for the Rocky Mountain ranges, and this extends even closer to the West Coast, closer to Nevada and California, while other areas further northward, such as the Northern Midwest and the Pacific Northwest, experience temperatures closer to average. I'll still lean to the temperatures in the Pacific Northwest being a little bit slightly above average this winter, but for the rest of the United States, you should expect temperatures to be colder than average. And of course, with colder temperatures, you should expect more snowstorms, especially in the southeast this winter. So you definitely need to take that into consideration as well, that the colder temperatures will likely lead to many more snowstorms in a lot of these areas where during a strong to moderate El Nino, you see colder than average temperatures. Another good thing to take a look at is the drought monitor for the lower 48, and you clearly see that currently a large portion of the southeast is under drought conditions, but however, I do expect it to go away because typically during an El Nino, we see a strong Pacific jet bring a lot more storm systems throughout the southern United States, and I eventually do believe that that will win out against the drought you're seeing right now over the southern United States, although the beginning of the winter might be a little bit warmer and drier than usual, so I'd expect the higher frequency of snowstorms for the southeast to be a little bit later in the winter, more so right around January and February. But point is, I expect this drought to go away in the southeast. I don't expect the same for the Pacific Northwest as well as the Northern Midwest, because typically during an El Nino, we already see much drier than average conditions. So during this El Nino should only make the drought impacts worse in a lot of these areas. So I do expect much less snowstorms than what you're used to right around the Pacific Northwest and the Northern Midwest this winter. For the Southeast, while it might be a little bit difficult to get a snowstorm early on in the winter, I do expect that there might be those one or two snowstorms, or potentially even more, that'll move through your area, but more so around the later winter time frame once the drought begins to go away, because of course droughts don't go away very quickly. And another thing I want to point out with a drought is that the temperatures are also warmer since there's less moisture on the surface, and the moisture along the surface helps prevent all the energy from the sun from being absorbed by the surface. And since water heats up slower than the surface, and that that moderates the temperature a lot in a lot of areas that typically have moisture in the soil. But when there's a drought, when there isn't moisture, we typically see warmer than average conditions, because all that energy from the sun gets absorbed quickly by the surface, and the moisture isn't there to slow that down. So the temperatures should also be warmer in the Pacific Northwest as well as the Northern Midwest, which as a result will limit the amount of snowstorms as well this winter in those areas. So here is my complete number of snowstorm forecasts for the entirety of the United States. So keep in mind that my definition of a snowstorm in this video is a snow event that brings at least 1 inch of snow or more. I'm sure that a lot of you, especially in the northern Midwest and in the higher elevations, 1 inch of snow is nothing to you. You definitely wouldn't consider that a snowstorm, I'm sure, for a lot of people. But I chose 1 inch of snow or more because it's the best way I can make the forecast with the data available. So keep in mind that snowstorms in this video are defined as snow events where you receive 1 inch of snow or more. And plus, keep in mind, 1 inch of snow, while it is relatively small, it still is capable of causing havoc on the roadways, especially if it falls down at a very quick pace. So you can't underestimate 1 inch of snow at times either. But taking a look at the amount of snowstorms I expect, so in the higher elevations of the Rocky Mountain ranges, including Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and extending into the Cascades of Washington and Oregon, and going into the northern Northeast, you should expect 30 snowstorms or more. In a lot of these areas, you will experience up to 60 1-inch snow events during any given winter. And for some areas in the higher elevations, you should expect less snow events than usual, but that isn't saying much because you still experience 30 plus snowstorms even during a drier winter. But still expect less snow events to be less frequent right around the Pacific Northwest. And then just south of the 30 snowstorm area, you should expect 20 to 30 snowstorms. This includes, again, some of the higher elevations of the Northeast. This includes the Appalachian Mountain ranges of Pennsylvania. Of course, right up along the, Lake Michigan, the eastern shore. That's where you should expect 20 to 30 snowstorms in the darker shaded purple, thanks to the fact that plenty of lake effect snow events occur around that area. And in a lot of the higher elevations of the Rocky Mountain ranges, as well as the Sierra Nevada ranges of California, you should expect anywhere from 20 to 30 snowstorms. And for some areas in the Midwest, this is less than what you'd expect, such as the northern portion of Minnesota. You typically experience 30 plus snowstorms. I'm expecting a little bit less this winter, thanks to the fact that we're going to be in El Nino, which brings drier than average conditions to a lot of these areas. So definitely be prepared for that. And then just south of that, you should expect 15 to 20 snowstorms. This includes bigger cities such as Milwaukee, Chicago, Denver is involved in this. And then just north of Boston, you should expect 15 to 20 snowstorms, or at least snow events where you receive 1 inch of snow or more. And for portions of the Northeast, this is more snow. These are more snowstorms than what you typically experience, so make sure to be prepared for the higher frequency of snow events moving through. And then just south of that, expect 10 to 15 snowstorms, and this encompasses a large area of the northern United States. This includes the northern Midwest. This includes bigger cities like Detroit, Cleveland is involved, and even bigger cities like New York City and Boston. You should expect 10 to 15 snowstorms this winter, or at least 10 to 15 snow events where you see 1 inch of snow or more, which is definitely higher than what you typically see in the New York City, Boston area, where you typically only receive around 5 to 10 snowstorms in any given winter. So definitely be prepared for more snowstorms right around the Interstate 95 corridor this winter. Just south of that, expect 5 to 10 snowstorms. This includes bigger cities like Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Louisville, Kentucky, and just north of Kansas City and St. Louis, you should expect 5 to 10 snowstorms, which is more than usual, especially in the Northeast. And then just south of that, expect 2 to 5 snowstorms. This includes cities like Virginia Beach, Charlotte, Atlanta is involved, which is definitely more than the 1 to 2 snowstorms you experience on average in Atlanta. So you could see maybe 3 snow events in Atlanta this winter, as I expect the positive PNA pattern will contribute to more jet stream dips, and a stronger subtropical jet should bring the higher potential of snowstorms right around the Atlanta area. So definitely be prepared for a higher frequency of snowstorms over there. This includes Memphis as well, Oklahoma City, Albuquerque. Expect 2 to 5 snow events this winter. And then just south of that, expect 1 to 2 snow events this winter. This includes Myrtle Beach, Birmingham, Alabama, Dallas is involved, and portions of western Texas and southern New Mexico are involved as well. And this area is further southward this winter than usual, thanks to the fact that I expect the colder temperatures to move further southward and more storm systems to raise the potential of snowstorms this winter in the southeast. So if you're hoping for snow in the southeast, or at least 1 or 2 snowstorms, then this is definitely the winter to get excited for. So yeah, this is my forecast when it comes to the amount of snowstorms you should expect this winter. If you want even more in detail forecast regarding the amount of snowstorms you should expect in your specific location this winter, just make sure to comment down below, and I'll make sure to give you guys more in detail forecast regarding the amount of snowstorms you should expect this winter. So make sure to comment down below if you're interested. But that's it for now, guys, and I thank you guys for watching.